Hey everybody, welcome back. I don't have time to do an online stream today live, so I figured what I'd do, just do a quick update about some of the gravity well research I've been working on. Give everyone an idea what the map would look like if it's finished with all the different orb circles, all the different red lines. There's so many mistakes on the red lines, I usually don't even like to show people it, but I figured zoomed out it doesn't look half bad, even with the mistakes, so... Anyways, so the other thing that we have updates for today is I think we can use the St. Michael's line or the sacrifice line to not only crack the code, no pun intended, of the ancient, which is it, the ancient north and south pole of the globe. So I'll show you what I mean by that shortly, just figuring out, oh yeah, we'll turn this off. Alright, so I think what I did is I cleaned up my folders a little bit, so I should be able to navigate the maps a little bit quicker. Finish quick. My specialty. And yellow 1, so yeah, that looks about right. Alright, so just a quick update, if anyone hasn't heard about the September 11th ley line, or the line of sacrifice. It's basically one of these lines, just happens to be the biggest crack that splits the planet in half. And we found out that some of the world's worst disasters occurred on it. I think we'll have the slide here. Where is it? Here it is. So we'll look at it briefly. So yeah, you can see that on the slide we had the Mecha Cube. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Birthplace of Jesus, the Holy Land Wars, Mount Olympus, Mount Hermon, where the fallen angels came to Earth, birthplace of Hitler. Oh yeah, all the September 11th attacks, sites except for a couple. The Orion Tower sacrifice, if anyone heard of that, at the end of the year of sacrifice. Mike Tyson, where he encountered the God of War. And oh yeah, where Tenochtitlan, where the God of War instructed the city to be built. So... yeah, we realize that this line is not only the line of sacrifice by the God of War and stuff, but we'll go over it here. We'll turn off the gravity well map. Is that line just so happens to also be the crack in the plate of the Earth. Let's see if we got it here. It's under the ancient well map. There it is. So I made that line as wide as you could make a line with Google Earth now, just to give people an idea when we're saying that it's a wide energy line. Yeah, it is pretty wide, this one. I think they all are pretty wide, so... really, I think they're wide enough that they go until the next line. So however wide it is to the next line, that's about how wide it would be. Might even overlap, depending how strong the line is. Alright, so anyways, let's bring up the crack of the Earth next. We got that one. That's good. Good. And crack of the Earth. Crack, there it is. Plate boundaries. So when you turn the plate boundaries on, you start to see that this was this crack here. Obviously, it doesn't follow it in a perfectly straight line because the crack wavers a bit off-center, but yeah, for interest's sake, for the most part, it does split it. And then when we did that show, I was talking about how it's not the only major crack that looks like it's splitting the Earth in two. And I started to say, hey, there's a couple other cracks that look like they could be big candidates to split it in half as well. Like, say, that one. So what I did is I'm like, hey, let's oh yeah, and I was looking at some files that Carrie Love was sharing on Facebook and about the different symbology, about repeating geometric patterns. Sort of like some patterns, like the spinning of the stars above us. So anyways, what I did is I decided to sketch not only that plate boundary map, which we'll turn off now, but let's do both. There looks like two major lines and they intersect. So let's draw those. So now I have a rough sketch of, let's put the plate boundary back on. This line is now basically mapping the other crack, the one that splits it like in not cubes, in quarters. So basically, if you zoom way out, our old pole, I believe, where you know how you take the two continents of Antarctica and Australia and you push the two together and it makes our super south pole that we used to have. If you squish them both together, basically this crack point where the globe splits in four is right in the center of where even where Zealandia used to stick in together. So yeah, that's how we're looking at the location of the old north or south pole. And Freudian slip, I wanted to show the North Pole next. Let's check out what the North Pole split point looks like. Does anyone recognize this point? Which I was tempted. Maybe I was off a bit and it should have been here. Because it almost feels like by looking at just by guessing, you would say that it's more there than there, right? But who knows? For now, we'll leave it as here. But if anyone's wondering why this point is important in my research, this point had come up before in the past, is when I was doing the shows about the South Pole splitting in half. This is what we came across is, let's show it on the bottom first. Basically on the South Pole part of it, the poles wobbled back and forth ever since. And that created the Ice Age cycle. So that's why in the last Ice Age it was frozen and everything died here in New Zealand and Australia. And who knows, was Antarctica warm during the last Ice Age? I don't know. We'd have to look into the records for that. I don't know how many explorers were really exploring Antarctica during the time of the last Ice Age, so maybe not many, right? But anywho, yeah, can you imagine it was thawed out that much recently? That would explain the Perry Reese map, how they were showing it thawed out, because it actually wouldn't have been that recently since it was. But I know scientists will, most or 99% will disagree with that. But anyways, let's go back. So we got that wobble that's been occurring between the two, south poles, when we had one giant one, split back and forth, the wobble. So where has this wobble been occurring before? My theory is that the wobble was back and forth from here to there. So it's interesting that this came out as the other pole spot when we drew the crack line. Because yeah, that would put the, let's bring up, I made a slide of the wobble. Now I just found it today and copied it over to the file. Oh, here it is. So here we have that figure 8 pattern that I believe that the pole wobbles on the top when it comes to the Ice Age cycle. Now I don't know the precession wobble and all those other wobbles. I don't know how those work exactly. I'm assuming they're very different. So if anyone's thinking I'm getting confused with those, it's like, no, I'm talking about a whole nother wobbling cycle. I know there is more than one pole, right? Like there's the geographic North Pole, the wobble pole, the wandering pole, or all these other different types of poles. So yeah, this is probably just another type of pole, not to confuse the two. All right, so I think that's all the information I wanted to share today. Didn't want to make the video more than 10 minutes. I think we're just under, so I'll wrap it up. The only other things that I wanted to add was some other viewers pointed out that the Halifax explosion that was devastating occurred on the line. There was another couple big devastation things people pointed out that I can't recall right now, but yeah, I don't want to focus too much on the devastation. But I was just thinking it's kind of interesting to think that we're getting closer and closer to mapping where the old South Pole used to be on the globe, and why that the ancient maps for all the temples and pyramids lining up used to be lined up to a different shaped planet. So, or it could be some other reason. No, but even when you're looking at these lines about like if you divide the globe in four, you really start to see the outline of the continent of America pretty well established. So to say that this pattern here used to be in existence, I'm not surprised. It looks very similar to what I thought it should. Not to predetermine my research before coming to the conclusions, but yeah, even when you look at that one, like that definitely looks like it's pretty much cracked the outline of the continent. Yeah, so there we go. If anyone's got any ideas, questions, comments in the chat, don't hesitate to ask, and we'll wrap this up. See ya.